I was standing 10 feet away when Greg Morrison, my wife's boss, said the words that would destroy his career. He was drunk, laughing with his executive buddies at the corporate holiday party, and he didn't know I was close enough to hear every word. "See that redhead by the bar?" he said, gesturing toward my wife Sarah with his whiskey glass. "She's mine in the office. Husband has no idea." I watched his friends laugh, watched them toast to his conquest, and I smiled, because Greg Morrison had just made the biggest mistake of his professional life. He just didn't know it yet. The corporate holiday party was held at the Riverside Hotel, the kind of event where Sarah's company spent obscene amounts of money on open bars and terrible speeches. Sarah worked as a senior marketing manager for Morrison Tech, a mid-sized software company. Greg Morrison was the CEO and founder. I'd come as Sarah's plus one, wearing the suit she'd insisted I buy for the occasion. "It's important to make a good impression," she'd said. "Greg will be there, and he likes when employees bring professional-looking spouses." That should have been my first clue. Sarah had been different for months, working late, taking calls in the other room, dressing nicer for the office than she did for me. I'd noticed but hadn't connected the dots, trusted her, loved her, believed in our 8-year marriage. Until I heard Greg Morrison boast about sleeping with her to his executive friends. I was standing near a column, partially hidden, when Greg's group gathered nearby, 6 men in expensive suits, all executives or board members, drinking premium liquor and trading stories about their conquests. "Greg's got a new toy," one of them said, the marketing manager. "What's her name?" "Sarah," Greg replied, grinning. "Sarah Bennett, married, but that makes it more interesting." "How long?" another asked. 4 months, started after the Seattle conference. She was all stressed about a campaign. I offered to help her relax. He made a gesture that left no room for misinterpretation. They laughed, clinked glasses. One of them spotted Sarah across the room. "That's her, the redhead?" "That's her, and I'm telling you, she's incredible. Married to some IT guy who works from home, completely clueless." I stood there, partially hidden by the column, phone in my pocket, watching my wife's boss brag about their affair to his friends. Part of me wanted to walk over and punch him. The professional part of me, the IT consultant who'd built a career on strategic thinking, knew there was a better way. I pulled out my phone and started recording. Greg Morrison kept talking. The alcohol had loosened his tongue beyond any sense of self-preservation. "Best part is, I'm her boss. She can't exactly say no when I suggest we work late together, not if she wants that promotion I've been dangling." One of his friends laughed uncomfortably. "Greg, that's not exactly appropriate, is it?" "Appropriate?" Greg scoffed. "I own the company, I make the rules, and Sarah knows if she wants to advance, she keeps me happy. It's business." I kept recording, let him keep talking. Every word was another nail in his professional coffin. "What about her husband?" someone asked. "What about him? He works from home doing whatever IT guys do, probably doesn't even notice she's gone. And honestly, why would she stay loyal to that when she could be with me?" He gestured to himself like he was some prize. Greg Morrison was 53, recently divorced, with a paunch that expensive suits couldn't hide and hair plugs that fooled no one. "You're playing with fire," one of the older executives said. "Sleeping with a subordinate? If HR found out." "HR works for me," Greg interrupted, "and Sarah's not going to say anything. She wants that VP position too badly." VP position. Sarah had been talking about a potential promotion for weeks, said she was working hard to earn it. Now I understood what kind of work Greg thought she should be doing. I ended the recording, 10 minutes of Greg Morrison confessing to an inappropriate relationship with a subordinate, implying coercion, bragging about using his position to pressure an employee into a sexual relationship. Then I did something I'd been planning since I heard the first sentence. I walked over to their group. "Gentlemen," I said pleasantly, "enjoying the party?" Greg turned, saw me, and his face went carefully neutral. "Of course, and you are?" "Tom Bennett, Sarah's husband, the clueless IT guy who works from home." The color drained from Greg's face. His friends suddenly found their drinks fascinating. "I couldn't help but overhear your conversation," I continued, voice still pleasant, "about how you've been sleeping with my wife for 4 months, how you've been using her promotion as leverage to keep her compliant. Fascinating stuff." "Now wait a minute," Greg started. I recorded it all. I held up my phone, 10 minutes of you confessing to workplace sexual coercion. That's what we call it when a boss pressures a subordinate into a relationship by threatening their career advancement. The executives scattered like roaches when the lights come on. Within 30 seconds, it was just me and Greg. You can't use that recording, he said. It's illegal. Actually, this state is a one-party consent state for recordings. I only need my consent to record a conversation I'm part of, and I was definitely part of the space where you were speaking. Greg's jaw clenched. What do you want? Money? Money? I laughed. No, Greg, I want justice. See, I'm going to send this recording to your board of directors, then to your HR department, then to several employment lawyers I know who specialize in workplace harassment cases. You wouldn't. I absolutely would, but first, I'm going to go have a conversation with my wife. Excuse me. I found Sarah by the bar, laughing with a group of her coworkers. She saw me approaching and her smile faltered. Something in my expression told her everything had changed. Tom, what's wrong? We need to talk. Outside. She followed me to the hotel's empty conference room. I closed the door, showed her my phone with the recording queued up. Before you say anything, I want you to listen to this. I played it, watched her face cycle through emotions, confusion, recognition, horror, shame. When Greg's voice said she's mine in the office, Sarah closed her eyes. Tom. 4 months, I said. You've been sleeping with your boss for 4 months while I thought we had a good marriage. It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. I heard him brag about it. Heard him say he's been using your promotion as leverage. That's called sexual coercion. Sarah, that's illegal. She sank into a chair. He said he loved me, that he wanted to leave his wife for me. He's already divorced, has been for 2 years. Try again. Her hands covered her face. I made a mistake. A huge mistake. Tom, please, we can work through this. No, we can't, because you didn't make a mistake. You made a choice. For 4 months, you chose to sleep with your boss while lying to me every single day. What are you going to do? I'm going to send this recording to Morrison Tech's board of directors. They need to know their CEO has been coercing employees into sexual relationships. Tom, if you do that, I'll lose my job. You should have thought about that before you started sleeping with your married boss for a promotion. It wasn't about the promotion. Sarah, he literally said on tape that you're keeping him happy to get advanced. Whether you meant it that way or not, that's what happened, and now there's evidence. She started crying. Please don't do this. I'll lose everything. You already lost everything. Our marriage ended the moment you chose to have an affair. Your job ending is just a consequence of your choices. I sent the recording to Morrison Tech's board of directors at 11 p.m. that night, along with a detailed email explaining what I'd witnessed and recorded, copied their general counsel and head of HR. By Monday morning, Greg Morrison was on administrative leave pending investigation. By Wednesday, he'd been terminated for cause, no severance, no golden parachute, violation of the company's ethics policy, sexual harassment of a subordinate, creating a hostile work environment. Sarah was also terminated, not for the affair, though that was part of it, but because company policy required reporting relationships with supervisors, and she'd violated that policy for 4 months. She tried to sue for wrongful termination. Her lawyer took one look at the evidence and advised her to drop it. You can't sue for wrongful termination when you're caught violating company policy on tape. Our divorce took 6 months. I played the recording in court during the proceedings. Sarah's lawyer tried to argue it was irrelevant. The judge disagreed. Adultery might not affect asset division in our state, but it certainly affected credibility. I kept the house. Sarah got her car and her personal belongings. The retirement accounts I'd built were protected. She walked away with almost nothing. Greg Morrison tried to start another company, couldn't get funding. Turned out investors don't like backing CEOs with sexual harassment terminations on their record. Last I heard, he was working as a consultant, making a fraction of what he'd earned as CEO. Sarah moved in with her sister, took a job at a smaller company making 60% of her previous salary. She texted me once, "I'm sorry for everything." I didn't respond. A year later, I'm living alone in our house, actually working from home as that clueless IT guy Greg had mocked, but I'm making more than ever, building a business, dating someone who understands loyalty. Sometimes people underestimate the quiet ones, the work-from-home IT guys who supposedly don't notice anything. They assume we're too busy with computers to pay attention to our marriages. Greg Morrison learned that was a mistake. He bragged to his executive friends about sleeping with my wife, assuming I'd never find out, assuming even if I did, I wouldn't do anything about it. He was wrong. I didn't just find out, I documented it, recorded it, used it to destroy both their careers. Some people call that revenge. I call it consequences. When someone brags about betraying you at a party, record it. When they confess to workplace coercion, document it. And when they think you're too clueless to notice, prove them catastrophically wrong. Call to action. If this story hit home, smash that subscribe button for more stories about standing up to workplace harassment and betrayal. Drop a comment. Would you have done the same thing? Like if you believe recording evidence is the best revenge, and share with someone who needs this. New content weekly. Subscribe and turn on notifications. Remember, never underestimate the quiet ones. They're usually paying attention. See you in the next one.